You're more for promoting.
Yeah, I'm for using, I want to use the apparatus of the state, utilizing Christians in power to utilize the power of the state's propaganda in order to reintroduce patriotism. But the type of patriotism that I want introduced is homeland patriotism. It's your duty, your patriotic duty is to replicate. Your patriotic duty is to have children. It's to find a wife. It's to have a family. And that is the status symbol. That's what's recognized. Every time you walk into a government agency, the DMV, I want them to say, wow, you have a great looking family there, sir. Wow, what a great looking family.
Didn't we have that forever? And then gay rights came along because there were people that were they just felt different. They were creative. They were intelligent, but they happened to just be generically attracted to the same sex. They fell in love. And, that's kind of what happened, right? What is your problem with homosexuality? Do you think it's destabilizing? What is it that is it that it keeps going into this transgender thing? What is it that is it because it violates your Christian ethics? What is it that you really are? Because sex for you is a hot topic. It's like promiscuity, homosexuality. These are things that get you real, like you're almost the chaperone in the corner going, hey, quit your dancing over there, but you're not. You're more complicated than that.
Yeah. So
talk to me about how'd you arrive at that conclusion?
So
is this something, do you think that's inherent in you? What is
Well, I think that when I look at the degradation of society, there's three kinds of ethics which are being continuously violated daily. The first is sexual ethics. That's been thrown out the fucking window. Okay. So whatever we had for sexual ethics, whatever decade that was that occurred, we don't have anything anymore. There is no such thing.
60s, right?
Yeah, they're just gone. There are no more sexual ethics. The second kind of form of ethics is the general Christian ethic of law, right? So the introduction of morality into law, also pretty much gone for process law. You know what I mean? Everything is speeding tickets and misdemeanors, and it's just all process bullshit. Very rarely do you see law get imposed fairly anymore. Okay, it's rare, and there's justice is basically dying out for social justice, which is not justice at all. It's an inversion of what real justice would be. And then kind of the third type of ethics which is gone is the understanding of behavior of economia, or understanding that there's going to be some cultural prism in which secularists are going to have to kind of concede to the religion of the nation, the religion that they have to live side by side with. They have to kind of, in some way, accommodate that. But what they do instead is they just want to destroy it, right? I'm not going to accommodate it. I'm just going to fucking destroy it so that nobody has it, right? If you have in God we trust on the dollar, that needs to go. Prayer in school, that needs to go. Across in the public sector, that needs to go. Instead of just kind of ignoring it or saying, it's just not really causing any real problems. It seems to be a great placation for society. People really seem to enjoy these symbols. They seem to be part of their kind of a state of being, and it really helps with their mind. They just go, now fucking destroy it. So when I look at these three kind of things which intersect, I come to the realization that, yes, it's true that politics is downwind of, of society, right? It's downwind of your social orders, but your social orders are downwind of your theology. And everywhere I look, this is the same. So the government is a reflection of the society, but the society is a reflection of the theology. And so as you come to that realization, you recognize that, yes, sexual ethics themselves are super important. All of these kind of different ethical systems are. But sexual ethics, though, that's a means you can see instantly, right? I don't want 8-year-olds to be able to watch pornography, okay, just because they click, yes, I'm 18. I don't want homosexuals to be simulating sex acts in public. That's disgusting. I don't want heterosexuals to be doing that either. These are things in society which I want to see. And why do I want to see it? Because I think it's a great stabilizing force for society. And I think that people who argue against them are arguing in pure bad faith, and that ultimately they want them as well. Homosexuals are a reproductive dead end. If I were to give you my magic wand theory and tell you, okay, let us assume for a moment that a wand was waved and every homosexual on planet Earth became a heterosexual, what fucking damage to society would that actually do? Can you think of any damage that would actually do? But now let's reverse it. Let's take the magic wand and turn everybody into a homosexual. What does society look like then? It's absolutely. It would just be fucking madness, right?
The only thing that I always wrestle with is that there is something wonderful about the differences, and something wonderful about the fact that people are different and are on the outside looking in. The United States has always been that place that provided safe quarter to our gentler spirits, or to our different spirits, those that love differently and act differently. And that's probably why we lead the world in creativity. It's probably why artistically, I mean, Hollywood is full of probably, gay writers and gay directors and great gay actors. And because part of it was just that it was the only place they could it was the harbor in the tempest. It was downright, I'm old enough to remember when it was downright dangerous to be gay. And the only place you were going to be safe was in a theater class, or maybe that was just where you could express yourself. It's a little bit like the great jazz musicians in the 50s, the 40s, 50s. They were black, John Coltrane and Miles Davis. The only way they could express themselves was not through speech, but through their horn. And thank God, because in a way that pressure cooker and that oppression gave rise to our highest American art form, Duke Ellington and the rest of them. So, sometimes I think that part of the reason we protect our gentler spirits, part of the reason we keep the government out of the marriage business, etc., is because it does produce goodies as well. It does produce creativity. You could make that argument. I haven't thought it through enough, but I'm making it for you here.
Yeah, government is intricately involved in the process of marriage, to the point of absurdity. To the point where you have contract law, which is immediate, which you're signing on to the second you get married. My second exchange with Dave Smith, I brought this up, and he ended up having to kind of concede the point because it's just true. The government is completely and totally biased when it comes to these marriage contracts against men, protecting instead women and incentivizing their bad behavior for sexual degeneracy. This is what we have come to. To say that the government's not intertwined with marriage is absurd. Now, let's assume we took them out. Let's just assume for a second we took the entire government apparatus out of marriage and it became a religious function, which it's supposed to be. Now, you, the secularist, could go in your backyard. You can look at a chick that you wanted and say, okay, we're married. Here's your ring. Okay? Oh, great. A person could have a religious wedding and say, okay, we're married. Right? Homosexuals could do the same thing, this and that. But here's what it does. What it does is it allows us to make the determination as to what we recognize marriage as being, the people. And guess what the people don't recognize? They don't recognize gay marriage. How do I know this? Because everywhere a proposition was put forward for gay marriage, they basically all failed across the board. Even in California, when the people themselves were able to decide that we don't recognize this abomination. There's no fucking way that we're going to let you cheapen this institution, which is a reproductive end, and say that the relationship that you have with another man, love is the same as I have with my wife, is absurd. No, you're not part of this institution.
Yeah, the argument for the libertarian there, just to stop you, would be you could have two 80-year-olds, a man and a woman, getting married. They can't reproduce, but they get married, right? So the reproductive end is something that could be challenged in terms of their.
But there's a normative end to this. So, for instance, when I say women are the only ones who can reproduce, that doesn't mean all women can reproduce. Right. But it does mean that normatively, they are the only ones who can.
We have to go by the normative standard.
We have to go by the normative standard. No gays can reproduce, not a single one. That's not even a possibility. Okay. Some, bisexuals can do this or this type of thing, but it's actually a pretty low rate and they very rarely adopt. And most gays are in open, promiscuous relationships, even when they're married. The data on that's pretty clear too. So the thing is people go, no, this is from a normative standpoint, this is not good for society. It doesn't lead to reproductive ends. This is not a thing which I want representing the institution of marriage inside of these localities that I'm in. And anytime they're asked, they overwhelmingly say no. So what happens? The government says, oh, okay, we'll use judicial activism and just fucking make you. We'll just make you. We'll just make you recognize it. But to say that somehow that's a libertarian idea, that the government can come in and from the bench just rule that, oh, you must recognize these marriages, that's the opposite of a libertarian idea.
They're doing the same with transgender rights.
They're doing the same thing with transgender rights, doing the same with all of it. When left, if you were to say tomorrow, government's out of marriage, I would love that. I would adore it. I would adore if the church regulated marriages again, because then I could recognize them or not. I could say, no, you're not married. This is a sham, right? This is a joke. Get away from me with this shit. Just because you put on a ring, you abomination. But no, instead, you're forced to act as though they are. You're forced to recognize this thing, which clearly is not true. There's no possible way. Let me give you an example. When two gay men say, oh, we're Christians. What? What? You're Christians who got married, really? And your pastor, your female pastor who married you, you think that that's within the Christian ethos? No, again. So ultimately, no, we want to look for what is normatively good in society. And definitely gays getting married is not normatively good. Them adopting is not normatively good. None of that's good for society. What's really good for society is the promotion of the nuclear family, having moms stay at home with their children, and having the really intelligent women not building NASA rocket ships, but instead giving us the next generation of really intelligent people. I want the intelligent women not working on math and science. I want them instead working on reproducing the next generation of really smart people, because only they can.
Yeah.